Here's the plan. Let's go over unit composition in Wargroove. Alright, so the biggest question and request I keep getting is, Sneaky, what units do I build? Make a unit tier list, make a unit guide. So that's what we're doing today. This is a unit guide of every unit that can be made out of a barracks. But a tier list doesn't make a lot of sense because you want a different unit for different situations. So instead, let's talk about what each unit is good for. And not just the beginner level, here's the first thing you need to know this unit does. Let's go over a lot of things that each unit is good for. This video will be great for beginners and veterans alike, so let's get started. Alright, first we've got swords. Swords are the bread and butter Wargroove unit. They just cost 100 gold, super cheap. Swords are built in the beginning of the game to capture all those sweet, sweet villages. But then, everybody makes a mistake. They say, okay, I've got all the villages, I don't need the sword anymore. I can let it get killed, I can throw it away, it doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, that's so not true! Swords are the essence of Wargroove. They're incredibly important. You want to keep them around because they can do big damage to all these expensive squishy units like archers, thieves, and alchemists. Even if you can't kill it outright, what did that cost you? 40 gold for like 220 gold or something? Great trade, and that alchemist isn't really very useful now. That archer is really not so useful now. These swords just took out much more expensive units. That's really awesome. On top of that, take a look at Mercia. Mercia should be dead 3 times over. Look at all these knights in crit range of Mercia. But they can't get to her because they're blocked by these swords. The best the knights could do is hit the swords. So Mercia is safe. Swords make great body blocks. They protect your powerful units from being attacked. And they might even deter attack completely just by being there. But another thing that swords are really great at, swords can attack villages, and even on their own, they do such big damage to villages. 2 swords can take out a village. That's a swing of 200 gold, and the swords will still be alive at the end of this attack, so it'll cost you maybe 100 gold worth of healing for a 200 gold swing and income every turn. That's huge! On top of that, swords crit next to the commander, and they crit strongholds for a crap ton of damage. Look at how much damage, even without a crit, swords do decent damage to strongholds and enemy commanders. So you definitely want to keep your swords around, even after the early capture phase. They're super useful. Alright, let's talk about dogs. So, dogs also deal big damage to more expensive squishy units. They also completely counter swords. However, dogs are a great counter to rifles. Rifles deal almost no damage to dogs, and dogs obliterate those expensive rifles for you. Another thing dogs are good at is dogs deal big damage on crit to commanders, so a pack of dogs can really scare away that enemy commander. Their 5 movement makes them great assassins and lets them cross rivers to assassinate merfolk. Alright, let's talk about pikes. Coming in at 250 gold right now. Pikes are great. They're slow as hell, but a pike with a crit, and of course to get a crit you just put it next to another pike when it attacks, they deal so much damage to everything the barracks can build. A pike will deal incredible damage. They counter the hell out of knights. Knights can't even attack into them. And if you do it right, they can even make good damage to a giant that's almost gold worth it. But you've got to get the crits. Pikes also deal huge damage to villages, huge damage to strongholds. Look at that, 1 crit, that was like 47%, and huge damage to commanders. Pikes are demons on land. They obliterate everything. The problem is they're pretty slow, and that's their one main drawback. Alright, so sometimes your sword just can't reach that village in the opening capture phase of a match. An alchemist, although it's way more expensive, might be better and give you a much better opening, get income faster. Alchemists are also good at attacking things like pikes, all kinds of squishy foot soldiers. If you're not critting though, you might take a bit of counterattack damage, but when you are critting, they just go down. The real reason you want alchemists though is they obliterate every kind of air unit. Look at that. Look at that. Crazy one-shots everywhere. They don't one-shot a dragon, but they do insane damage to dragons. That dragon is practically useless now. Another great reason to have Alchemists, they threaten commanders. On crit, big damage to commanders. Finally, an Alchemist has the heal spell for 300 gold. You could heal 20% of every unit in the spell's range, no matter how much that unit costs. So if you're healing giants, it might actually be gold efficient. Alright, let's talk about archers. Now, a big mistake I see people make is, oh, let me attack something with my archer. Well, this archer was worth 500 gold. You smacked a pike worth half that for half its health. That wasn't really worth it. The purpose of an archer is not to duel something, or to one-shot something, or to counter something. The reason you want an archer is this. You want to weaken something enough so that something else can kill it, opening a hole in your opponent's defenses. That way you can get to their back units and take them out. That's the real reason you want 1 or 2 archers in your formation. Not to kill things by themselves, but to help you kill things and punch through walls. Another good reason to have archers on hand at all times is, let's say you're doing big damage to the enemy commander. Big damage. You can't quite finish them off. Having an archer or 2 around gives you just enough damage to finish them off and take them out, so they can threaten off enemy commanders with that extra 10% of damage. Alright, let's talk about knights. Knights are key for aggressive play. Their incredible 6 movement range means you definitely want to build them, and they can run right into the fight. They crit at their maximum movement. Just keep in mind it doesn't count if you cross your own path. Like a charging knight, it has to end 6 spaces away from where it started. In any case, they deal big damage to commanders. They automatically one-shot villages and production facilities on crit. Huge damage to almost every kind of unit, and, this is important, 2 critting knights will always take down a stronghold. Always. Guaranteed. That's a win condition right there. Even if they don't crit, knights deal huge damage from a variety of squishy units and take almost no damage from them in return, making them decent tanks against a lot of units. Ballistas. Ballistas aren't very tanky. You want to protect them behind a unit line, but they're pretty good at sniping air units. Now, while your opponent will probably not be foolish enough to put air units in your ballista's path, they can zone air units out of a territory. They can also deal chip damage to a variety of units while not super scary. Look, you can even hit sea units. Pretty cool, right? It's not a ton of damage, but it's enough to make the opponent not want to fight near the ballista, because you can tax them every turn and deny air from entering your space. Additionally, they can help you pick down a village from far away so that something else can kill it, and over time will eventually kill that stronghold, though it will take many turns. Trebuchets, on the other hand. A critting trebuchet almost obliterates a stronghold. Just tap that thing and it's dead. And guarantees takes out a village. If you don't crit, though, you'll still deal huge damage to the village or stronghold. You want to protect your trebuchets because they're expensive as hell, but they deal so much damage to commanders, to pikes, to damn near everything. Trebuchets are demons at attacking land units. They just obliterate stuff. Let's talk about giants. Giants being the most expensive thing you can buy on land. Naturally, they are ridiculously tanky. They kill almost everything. They don't really have a counter except for themselves and maybe pikes, if you have like a lot of critting pikes. Giants are awesome. Even a low health giant, as long as it's 40% or below, will deal tons of damage because its crit condition just buffs it to hell. Now, I also included wagons in the giant space because giants are so straightforward that I really didn't need a lot of space for them. Let's talk wagons. So, wagons deserve their own video, and I almost didn't even include them. But they're so useful, I figured I'd give you a few wagon tips in this video as well. So, the main point of a wagon is on a map with a road, because if it doesn't have a road, you may not even want to build a wagon. But on a map with a road, wagons are insane. They send your unit so far across the map, and you can use them to capture villages early that you wouldn't have been able to get to otherwise. On top of that, wagons can even set up pike crits like this one here, which is awesome. But when you get wagons to the front line, you really want to send them back to pick up more units, because think about it. A unit not on the front line isn't fighting. That wagon might cost a build and 300 gold, sure, but if you're bringing an alchemist to the front lines, that's 400 gold you now have on the front lines fighting that your opponent doesn't. So wagons are great for capturing the faraway villages and reinforcing your front lines. They're also tanky as hell. These things make great body blocks, even though they can't attack. For that reason, on road maps, you definitely want wagons. Alright, so GG, we've gone through every single unit type that a barracks can build. Now again, I can't really make a tier list for units because they all have different uses and different purposes. I build almost every unit every game, where some units, like the wagon, are super situational. You only want them on roads. Other units, like the sword, you're probably gonna make a sword every game, at least in the opening phase at least, right? So Wargroove has so many units, and it's so awesome that they're all so useful. Now you know what to build, when, why, and what to use it for. Stay tuned for my next video where I go over sea units, air units, and even hideout units. That's all for now, and welcome to Wargroove. Hey, just a few things about this video. In the beginning, I said that swords do damage to strongholds and commanders. Since I didn't demonstrate it in the video, I should mention that they do way more to strongholds than they do to commanders, but the commander damage is still significant. Also, I said golems have almost no counter. I meant from the barracks. You can counter a golem in some situations with mass dogs, mass pikes, and air units, sea units that have range, can also hit golems. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. I know a lot of these units have some things we didn't cover, but I think we hit most of the basics. That's all for now, and catch you later.